All right, welcome back to the Be a Man podcast, where we encourage men to be better men. Dalton, I appreciate you being on with me, man. Why don't you introduce yourself to the listeners?
Sure, absolutely. My name is Dalton Yeatman. Some people call me Coach. I am a men's health coach and personal trainer. Work with men primarily. I have been a personal trainer since 2012. I've been married for about 9 years. I've got 4 kids between the ages of 8 and 1. And so it stays busy around the Yeatman house, but I'm excited to be here today and looking forward to seeing what we can dive into in men's biblical health.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I fully understand. Mine, I have 4 as well, from 13 to 3. So I fully understand what that's like, and it is a lot of work. But
Mm.
how did you get into personal coaching, health coaching, that sort of realm?
Well, I gotta say, you can always connect the dots looking back, but not necessarily looking forward.
Hmm.
Um, I was in high school and started to kind of see that I was finding a passion in fitness, right?
Okay.
As most young men do, but for me, it was more along the lines of I love the science of it all, right? I wanted to
Mhm.
see how the mitochondria work within the cell, and it just kind of amazed me. It was almost like I
Yeah,
was watching, the military channel or something all the time. Just I love
yeah.
that education of it all. And so I barely passed high school, and that's a story in its own. It's a testimony for sure. But then I went to college, and
Mhm.
I was going to be a physical therapist. That was my goal. I wanted to work with people. But then I got this job where I was working with bariatric patients. So we were talking about 700, 900 pound patients, and they needed these, bed systems to kind of help
Mhm.
keep the fluid moving in their lungs and all this other stuff. And
Yeah.
so I got kind of a relationship with some of them, uh, those patients, and some of them were frequent flyers, knew them by their first name. And
Sure.
I just started conversation with them and everything, trying to figure out how it was that they got to that point in their life. And so while I was in college and while I had that job, I made a change. I was like, you know what? I want to get to people before they get to this point, right? I
Yeah.
want to be that catalyst moment in their life, and I can't do that necessarily if I'm a physical therapist. Most of the time, people are
Mhm.
coming in already broken and busted up, and so I wanted to give people opportunity. So I was already working out about 6 hours in the gym every single day, if not every other day, because as a college student, I didn't have anything else to do.
Yeah.
And
I
so,
understand.
gym before class, gym after class, all of that good stuff. But
Yeah.
I started making some friends on campus and everything, and people would start working out with me. And my first client ever, I was like, I'm an NASM certified personal trainer. I want to try with somebody. So one of my friends, her name was Vangelina. She lost 70 pounds within one semester of college, and
Wow.
I was like, dang man, I'm actually pretty good at this.
Wow. Yeah.
So all that did was really encourage me even further. So a little bit further down the line, um, I start to work with men, and I'm like, man, a lot of my clients would have so much better progress if we were to address some of these other areas of their life, meaning physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So I kind
Mhm.
of got turned off on the whole, you're just going to come in here and you're going to get in the best shape of your life. You're going to look awesome. You're going to go out there and you're going to, you know, get all the girls and all that stuff. That wasn't what I was about. That's not what my goal was as a trainer or a coach.
Mm.
And so
Sure.
I began to kind of speak into some of these men and start kind of putting myself into a network of other men who were kind of doing the same thing in terms of coaching and stuff like that. And so, you know, um, my entire childhood, I would say, I grew up in a fatherless home, right?
Mhm.
And I felt like God had really fathered me through that entire process. I didn't know what it was at the time, but like I said, connecting the dots, looking back, you can see, okay, God was with me the
Yeah.
entire time. And so I was like, I can be a father for someone, right? I can be that person to kind of help put up the guardrails and kind of help keep them
Yeah.
straight and make better decisions and things like that. And so I decided I wanted to be a men's coach as well. Um, I primarily started working with men once I got married because first of
Mhm.
all, I had to have a come to Jesus meeting because I was acting out of desperation as a coach, wanting to make this a career and everything, right?
Sure.
And I was like, I'll take anybody who wants to come work with me. And So that's what I was doing. And it put me into some sticky situations where I can control
I'm
myself,
sure.
but
Yeah.
I didn't want any of that putting any strain on my relationship with my wife, right?
Yeah.
And so I talked to God and I was like, God, you know, I need you to tell me who my people are, right?
Mhm.
I need you to show me who it is that you're sending to me. But if this is your path for my life, who is it that you want me to speak into? He's like, okay, well, what did I equip you with? And I was like, well, I'm a man, and you taught me how to be a man that, in a way that nobody else could because they wasn't there to be an example, right? So I was like, well, I can
Sure.
speak into men in a way that God spoke into me, right? It's that follow me as I
Mhm.
follow Christ mindset. And so that's what I've been doing. I've been working with men who want to be better fathers, who want to be better entrepreneurs, better husbands, better leaders in their community, and that's what my passion is because uh, I consider myself to be a first generational patriarch. Right, my
Mm.
my fathers before me, they we divorce rate was absolutely sky high. That's a
Yeah.
generational curse, right? Poverty,
Yeah.
generational curse. Graduating, generational curse. And so my passion is to not only take men and get their health to a level that is, you know, uh, optimal in their life to where they can
Mhm.
perform best as fathers, husbands, and entrepreneurs, but also, for them to have a relationship with God that is a relationship and not just a showing up on Sunday thing.
Yeah, I hear you. That's really good and really encouraging to hear because I do think there's a cultural problem with when it comes to health. What we're told is healthy, what is actually healthy. I've kind of been on a journey these last few years as well when it
Hmm.
comes to those things. There were some health things with my dad, my grandfather, and some others in the family, and it kind of got me on this course that I'm on now. I'm
Hmm.
I'm down like 60 pounds from when I started. So,
Wow.
and it's not been easy at all. And I tell people
Hmm.
I may I may make it look like it's easy, but it's definitely not easy. I tell my wife all the time, like, I really want all that pumpkin stuff that's over there, but I cannot
Hmm.
have it. You know what I mean? But I want to ask you, and there's two sides to this. First one is,
Sure.
how do we combat what culture is trying to ram down our throats when it comes to what is healthy, what is not? How do we combat all that? Because there's kind of a stigma. If you don't eat the big cheeseburger and fries and all that kind of stuff, it's like, well, what are you doing here? You know what I mean? Like that's what we're told is good, or and the bowl of cereal for breakfast, all these things that I would argue maybe that's not the best thing that we should be eating now. How do we combat some of these things?
Well, here's a little pro tip. If you are shopping, everybody here shop around the corners of the grocery store, right? That's where you're going to
Yeah.
find your best stuff. But if it's in a box, if it's in a bag, I would pass it up if you can. Okay. I know it can be expensive,
Yeah.
but you're putting something into your body, right? Also, if it has a second label on the sticker that they hide, meaning
Mm.
here's an arrow, peel that corner and you'll see all the rest of the ingredients, you can probably guess that they're trying to hide what's in the stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I would avoid that for sure. But the stigma itself is very much so not much different than the pharmaceutical industry, honestly.
Mhm.
What
Yeah.
they're trying to do is they're trying to make money. They don't really care about your health. They know they're trying to corner a market to a consumer who is now trying to save money and to get uh, healthier, right? So what they do is they stamp um,
Mm.
health food or whatever on the label,
Yeah.
and then you buy it because you haven't educated yourself and you don't really know what's in the foods and even what they do to your body, right?
Mhm.
So best case, the best thing that you can do is just to try to stay as clean as possible. Okay, and this is what I tell my clients too. Do not only just buy foods or create meals that are or seem to be healthy, right? Be very vigilant about how your body responds to that. Okay. So,
Mhm.
God created our body in a way that actually speaks back to us when we eat something. Okay. You eat poison, you're going to feel like you ate poison. You
Mhm.
eat beans, for example. Everybody knows beans give you gas, right?
Mhm.
Why does beans give you gas? Because it is a inflammatory response of our gut telling us, hey, we're irritated and
Yeah. Something's
you
wrong here.
probably shouldn't, something's wrong here and you shouldn't eat this again. But we have also gotten so normalized to what to
Mm.
expect when you eat foods, right?
Mhm.
That we don't even think, okay, maybe I shouldn't eat this anymore. So um, I tell my clients, one, pay attention to how you feel, take it out of your
Mm.
diet if you care about your health, right? And if it's
Mhm.
giving you a negative response, okay? Educate yourself on how the body uses the food, okay? So, for example, you have carbs, you have proteins, you have fats, right? Carbs are easy, but they will process or digest pretty quickly in your body, spike your insulin levels, and put you into a fat storage state.
Mhm.
Insulin is anabolic. It helps take the sugar from the bloodstream and put it into your cells to be used as energy. But if your cells are full, guess where it puts it? In your fat cells. Okay.
Mhm.
Protein is a building block, right? It is, you have all these enzymes and everything that will be the building blocks of muscles and help kind of build, but it doesn't necessarily spike your insulin level and get you into a fat storage state unless you eat a lot of protein. Okay.
Mhm.
Fats have twice the amount of energy per calorie than carbs and protein put together. So carbs and protein have 4 calories per gram, and fat has 9 calories per gram. What does that mean? That means that you can get twice the amount of energy out of eating fats and proteins as you can eating something like carbohydrates that is going to uh, dysregulate
Yeah.
your blood system, your
Yeah.
blood sugar,
Yeah.
and
I'm
it'll
just
make you
laughing
even.
because I'm a kid of the late 80s, 90s, and,
Yeah.
like, everything was reduce fat this, reduce fat that, you're
Yes.
gonna die unless you do reduce fat. I'm
And you
like,
know what happened?
it's totally opposite.
Obesity levels skyrocketed since the
Yeah.
70s. Skyrocketed, okay? And it's because what they've been doing is giving people diabetes. Now,
Mhm.
then here's another thing. The 6 meals a day. You wanna lose weight and eat 6 meals a day? First of all, that doesn't pass the smell test, okay?
Yeah.
Now, I understand what they're trying to say. You can eat a small meal and give yourself time to use that little bit of energy. So, say, for example, you ate 200 calories. Well, if you're using the calories in, calories out kind of concept, you can burn
Mm.
200 calories in 2 to 3 hours, right? If you're active. Okay.
Mhm.
So they'll also tell you to walk 10 minutes after every time you eat. So, of course, you're going to try to burn what you ate. The problem with that is it does not take into consideration the hormonal aspect of that,
Mm.
right? So, we
Yeah.
talked about insulin earlier. Okay. Insulin will increase in order to lower your blood sugar. Okay. Like I said, insulin is
Mm.
like a bus. It shuttles that sugar from your bloodstream into your muscles, into your uh, cells, right?
Mhm.
But if that insulin never has time to come back down because you've already hit another level, you never
Mhm.
drop below the baseline
Mm.
into fat burning mode. Okay. And that's
Mhm.
hormonal. So, what happens when we overuse something, right? It starts to break down. It starts to quit
Mm.
on us. If we don't change the oil in our vehicle or we just run it constantly, the wheels are going to wear, in this particular case, your pancreas starts to have trouble producing insulin because it's overworked. Okay. Then you
Mhm.
get diabetes. Okay.
Mhm.
So, with that being said, we have to allow our body to rest. That means that we can intermittent fast. We can eat the same amount of calories in the day, smaller window. But throughout the rest of that day, you are burning fat as fuel. You'll notice that your mental clarity, your mental focus is a lot sharper. You're able to do tasks. You feel lighter. You feel better. Your mood's better. Did you know
Mhm.
that your gut health is one of the primary um, uh, reasons for emotional swings, like swings in our emotions, right?
Mm.
Depression and anxiety and all these other things. If you were to take care of your gut health, it would minimize that to the best of its ability. I understand everybody's different, but if
Mhm.
that's the one thing you want to change, fasting, allowing your body to break down the food you've already eaten, you will see a decrease in anxiety and depression. So I'm
Hmm.
not sure if that answered your question. I know we was talking
Yeah,
about a
it does.
stigma.
It's fascinating, because part of this, I've been kind of on a journey learning a lot of these things too, because it's always been kind of a battle eating, being overweight, all these things have always been a battle. And part of it too is I went through a season of a lot of ear infections, a lot of antibiotics. My gut was just,
Mm,
I mean, ripped to shreds. And so I've been kind of on a journey trying to heal all that stuff and losing weight at the same time as well. And this is fascinating because I've been doing more of a protein carnivore based diet right now. Not that I will
mhm,
forever. I mean, I want to reintroduce some things in the future, but for right now, that has been helpful in the healing process. And I do find I eat a lot less and I'm not as hungry. It's the
mhm.
first time I've ever tried anything different where I wasn't hungry the entire time.
Well, there's
It's
actually
amazing.
there's a hormonal change that happens as well whenever you're eating this way. And one, because fats have more energy, you're more satiated, right?
Hmm.
Your blood sugar's been leveled out because you're not constantly increasing it and decreasing it, right? So you're
Hmm.
having less hunger pangs, you're having less cravings and things like that. Your body's adapting to knowing how to use those fats and proteins as energy instead of always expecting carbohydrates to come in like a knight in shining armor, you
Hmm.
know. But there are two hormones in your stomach. One's called leptin, one is called ghrelin. Ghrelin's job is to tell you when you're hungry. You can remember that because your stomach is growling. Ghrelin,
I've had a
hunger.
lot of ghrelin.
Yeah. And then leptin tells you when you're full. Okay.
Yeah.
So whenever you eat in a way that's satiating, whenever you eat in a way that is,
Mm.
taking care of that dopamine kick that
Hmm. Yeah.
you get from eating those sugars and those very satiating things or
Sure.
very tasty things, then
Hmm.
your stomach hormones level out as well. Okay. But yes, I'm glad to hear that you are, kind of stepping out of coloring
Yeah.
outside of the lines a little
Oh
bit
yeah.
and just doing your own research. And
Yeah.
that's kind of where what I want to talk about today too is that like we have to respect the way that God created our bodies, right?
Yeah.
We look at the pharmaceutical industry and they will give you things that are, I call them pharmaceutical
Hmm.
industry because pseudo means
Hmm.
false. And basically it's bypassing things, right? It's
Hmm.
tricking your body into things like taking testosterone, for example, because your body might have an issue taking testosterone or making its own testosterone. Well, if that was a solution, your body would start to make its own testosterone better, but it's not a solution. It's a hack, right?
Hmm.
Whenever you start taking testosterone, you have your body says, "Hey, I don't have to make testosterone anymore."
Mm.
So you start to shrivel up and you start to lose your ability to create testosterone, right? And so with that being said, like that's completely disregarding the way that God created our bodies. We go and they give us medication to soothe our pain and suffering, right? But
Hmm.
never to fix the problem. And I know there are doctors out there who do respect the body's processes and will put you on a diet or will give you some guidance and everything, but they are about quick fixes, rotating doors, and stuff. So I want to encourage every listener today to do their own research. And if you're having a medical issue, start asking the question, why, instead of how can I put a band aid on this, right? And most
Sure.
men, we have a lot of issues with going to the doctor and getting something
Yeah.
figured out. So if all you do is look up a chiropractor
Hmm.
on the internet and maybe he's got a podcast of his own where he's talking about hypothyroidism or he's talking about fatty liver disease or whatever it is,
Hmm.
research that way. Whenever you are having these symptoms, okay, well, I'm having this symptom because one of the best things
Hmm.
that I've ever done is to practice what I preach. And that means I went through the ketogenic diet, I went
Hmm.
through carnivore, and I went through some of these fad things, and I know how my body responds. For
Hmm.
example, uh, I'll have clients that say, "Oh, I'm just having the worst headache," right, during keto. And I'm like, "Okay, well, you very likely have an electrolyte imbalance.
Hmm.
And I want you to go in the kitchen, put a pinch of salt under your tongue, and tell me how you feel." Okay, the headache's
Yeah.
gone immediately because their body since you don't have any carbohydrates in your system, right? The water that you're drinking doesn't have anything to hold on to. So you pee a lot.
Yeah.
When you pee a lot, it flushes everything out of your kidneys. And guess what is held in your kidneys?
Yeah.
Your electrolytes, right?
Electrolytes. Yeah. Definitely. I this is really good. I'm really enjoying this, and I can't help but think if somebody's listening and they're
Mhm.
hearing all this for the first time, where and for guys, let's be honest, part of it's we don't like going to the doctor. The other part
Mhm.
is it's hard now to find a doctor you can trust. I mean, it
Yeah.
really is because it's just hard, and you don't know what they're going to push or what they're going to tell you need, or if they're going to try to quick fix, or if they're going to really walk you through the real issues going on or not. But I
Mhm.
wonder if a guy's for the first time hearing all this, where do you suggest they start? Like, find a doctor, but maybe what are some steps health wise, eating wise, any of those
Mhm.
types of things? Where's the first place you'd say start here?
Well, it's always easiest to start simplest, right? So
Hmm.
we normally have a conviction of things that we know are not good for us, whether that be
Hmm.
alcohol, whether that be sodas, whether that be, staying up till 1 a.m. playing Call of Duty. We have a
Hmm.
general conviction of what we know is making us feel like crap. Okay.
Hmm.
Start there, right? Start with a little bit better habits, maybe setting a bedtime, maybe, practicing a good sleep routine, um, drinking some more water, just starting there and see how you feel. Like here's the thing. Do you have pets? You have dogs or anything like that?
Yeah, yeah. Got a dog.
Okay. So
Bearded
whenever
dragon
you
too.
want to, there you go. That's what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
my son.
But
Yeah.
they, that's funny. But they have a specific diet, right? You
Yeah.
you look at the things that you're giving your dogs. Why? Because you love your dogs, right? You want
Mhm.
them to live long. You don't want them to suffer with disease or illness or anything like that, right? Well, the problem though is that we have this quick fix mindset of our own where we can just go to the foods that we
Mhm.
like that are making they're our comfort foods, right? Food is one of the most emotional things that we have on the planet. On my last podcast we talked about how
Mhm.
take sex away from a man for 1 week and food away from a man for 1 week and see which one makes him angrier, right? And most of the time it's going to be food that is going to give you the problem. Okay.
Mhm.
But look at the foods that you are eating for the sake of taste, for the sake of pleasure, right?
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that you can't enjoy things. What I am saying, though, is that love yourself enough. Love the way that God created your body enough to be able to feed yourself things that are going to be beneficial for you. Things that you love your dog and you wouldn't do
Mhm.
it to your dog, right? You love
Mhm.
your kids, so you're not going to feed them. You're not going to sit them down with a ice cold beer at night, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And let them consume those things because it's not beneficial to them, right?
Mhm.
Like imagine this. Think of your body as if it's smart, okay? And it is. All right, God created it is so intricate. It
Mhm.
blows my mind every single day just how in depth God created us, okay? But how does your body respond to things? When you
Mm.
work out, right? What happens when you work out? You tear muscles, you
Mhm.
recover, and you grow stronger. You look better, you feel better, your anxiety
Mm.
decreases, right? All right. Why? Because God saw fit that when you do hard things, you are rewarded with good things. Okay.
Mhm.
So, what happens when we give our body bad things? We start feeling lethargic. We start, our emotions, our depression, our anxiety increases, right? And so, when we do bad things, we feel like we reap bad things.
Mm.
Okay. So,
Mhm.
just take that into consideration is that, like, we understand in our knower that something that we are eating or something that we are drinking is not beneficial for us, but we're not listening to our body. We're listening to our flesh. Okay.
Mhm.
So now, as Christians, we know the difference between our flesh and our soul, right? And we are to beat our flesh into submission or beat our body into submission. Okay. What does that mean? That means you're not going to want to wake up first thing in the morning. Okay. But
Mhm.
you are in control of your body. and you are the captain of your ship, which means your body has to listen to you. You get up out of bed, you do the things you told yourself you're going to do, prove to yourself every single day that you and your health is important enough for you first, right?
Mhm.
If you are a parent, right? If you're a father, prove to your kids that that healthy mindset that you have, that the things that you have dedicated yourself to are important enough to you that you were going to follow through with them. But why? Because you are going to break generational curses. Because we are constantly going to listen. Are you going to listen to your flesh every single day and allow it
Mhm.
to drag you down into sinful things that are not good for you? Right? Because our flesh wants us to follow our pleasures and not our purpose. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, um, what I like to tell my clients is that we start with a conviction, right? In anything. Okay.
Mhm.
A conviction is different than shame. All right. Conviction says, hey, you're doing this thing, it's not good for you, and here's an opportunity to turn around. I call it the canary in a mine shaft, right? A canary
Mm.
in a mine shaft is they put a canary in the mine shaft because it can sense when there are harmful gases that are released in the mine shaft, and the canary will die, giving a signal to all the miners in there that something's wrong and you have to get out of there. Okay. Conviction is very
Mhm.
much that way. God tells us, hey, something's wrong. You need to listen to me. You need to turn away from your wicked ways and come back. Okay? Come back to the identity
Mm.
that I have given for you, to you, right?
Mhm.
You're not looking like me. What is Christianity? Christianity is the likeness of Christ. We are supposed to be the likeness of Christ.
Mhm.
So, with that being said, we start with a conviction. We say, this is what we stand for. We know our identity. We're supposed to look like Christ. And this is, not going to waver here. Now we move into commitment. Okay. Now,
Mm.
since we know who we are, we act as though we are that person. We are committed to turning into that person, that 10.0 version of ourselves that looks like Christ, right? We
Mm.
will do whatever we have to do. We will learn whatever we have to learn. We will, pay whatever price we need to pay to work with a coach to get these tools that we need to succeed. Okay. And
Mhm.
nothing is going to get in our way. No obstacle, no doubt, no nothing. Okay. You are the captain of your ship. God has given you the ability to have that self discipline. The Holy Spirit itself is a helper in these things. Okay. That's one
Mhm.
of the reasons that Christ died on the cross, was to give us a helper, because we can't do it on our own. Right.
Mhm.
We are weak people. Okay. It is easy
Yeah.
to keep those covers on our bed. It is easy for us to choose cake, right, in the moment. But God
Mhm.
is a foresighted God. Okay. He sees things so much bigger picture and so much further down the line than we do. Okay. That's why
Mm.
we get distracted so easy, and we will choose the cake over the things that we know are going to be good for us long term. Okay.
Mhm.
So, after commitment, you've done the things you need to do, you've been consistent, you have been unwavering, right? You get to embrace in the blessing of obedience, because that's what it is. You are convicted
Mm.
about something that's bad, you turned away from it because God told you this is not who you are.
Mhm.
You committed yourself to being obedient, and now you are blessed with the results. Whether that be
Mm.
that you lost 60 pounds and you feel better and you're able to spend time with your kids, guess what you're not doing anymore? Suffering like
Mhm.
you would have. There's a difference
Yeah.
in hardship and suffering, in my opinion. Hardship is the things that we allow ourselves to go through in order to equip ourselves for what's to come. Okay.
It's good.
Suffering is things that we go through because we did not equip ourselves and did not choose to go through the hardship, right? It is the outcome
Mhm.
of our laziness, our gluttonous selves, our choosing the apple whenever we were specifically told not to take the apple, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying, or the fruit.
Yeah.
What, I don't know where
Oh
y'all
yeah.
stand on
Oh yeah.
but you have to every single day realize that you have a choice. You can either dive into your flesh and do what the
Mhm.
satanic Bible says, and do what thou wilt. Enjoy everything in the moment. This is
Yeah.
your life, and you're not going to have it forever. That's true. You're not going to have it forever. And your salvation should be secured, knowing that you are going to heaven when you leave here. But
Mhm.
you are not worshiping God properly if you're only singing to Him on Sunday.
Hmm.
Worshiping God does not just mean that you are singing to Him. It means that you have devoted your life to glorify Him in every area of your life. That includes your health, that includes your physical health, that includes your mental health and emotional health and spiritual health, right?
Mhm. That's really
So
good. That's really
whenever
good.
we whenever we do not choose to be intentional about glorifying God with our life in those areas, we sacrifice our life to the enemy. What do I mean by
Mm.
that? I mean that if we are not consciously making the decision's already made. The enemy has a foothold. He already knows what carrots to put in front of you to distract you and pull you away, right? You have to
Mhm.
be intentional. You have to get in God's word. You have to know who the author of the Bible is, right?
Mm.
Because if we are going to be Christ-like, we have to spend time with people. We have to, whenever you want to be like someone, you spend time with them,
Mhm.
right? Whenever you want to learn something from someone, like a coach, you spend time with them, right? Whenever you want to learn something about the body and dig deep and, you just a nerd like that, you spend time educating yourself to do that, right? So
Mhm.
I would love to say that, somebody just wanting to start right now, like there's an easy answer for that. But I would say you need to understand that your life is worth taking the initiative. Okay. Like it, I don't know how else to say it other than God has this potential for you, your health, your family, your business, and your mission, your assignment that He has given you, right?
Mhm.
He has this potential, this big picture, and we squander it because we don't care enough about it. We don't care enough about our family. We don't care enough about our business,
Mm.
right? And
Mhm.
therefore, we do not try to become who we need to be to fulfill that purpose. I know that might be a little deep, and I'm kind of rattled off in my
That's
head
good.
as well. But um, yeah. Anyway,
No, I totally see what you're saying there. Yeah. Conviction, commitment, blessings. I think that's really, I mean, that's helpful. It shows people, and I love how you have tied really what you're talking about is the sanctification process of
yes.
that change that must happen in a believer's life. And I don't think, and I'll say Baptists in particular, have
Hmm.
given Christians in this area a very bad name. And for many generations now, I would argue.
Hmm.
However, not all, but I think overall, a lot of Baptists have given Christians a bad name when it comes to health, eating, all these things, all your potlucks and all that kind of stuff, that people joke
Hmm.
about, but it really, they don't take it very seriously. And the whole time I'm thinking, but you could be doing a whole lot more if you did take care of yourself. Now, God can
Hmm.
use you wherever you're at. I understand that. But imagine the opportunities you will have if you take care of yourself, if you get yourself more healthy. If no other person, it's going to impact your family. They're seeing what you're doing, they're seeing how you're living, and they will
Hmm.
see the goals that you have before you and how God can use you to. Uh, reach take the gospel, reach the lost, do what he has called us to do, to live this Christian life in a very bold and vibrant, might not be the right word, but a vibrant way, and I
Yeah.
think that as we take these things seriously, as you've been pointing out, there must be a reason why we do it, which you've talked about, the conviction. We must
Hmm.
commit to the process, and then we reap the benefits. And many times the benefits are just that we get more opportunities that would not have been there if we had not committed back in the process to begin with. So I am right on. I love what you said there. I just hope that as guys listen to this, they are encouraged. If they are on the fence, or if they've been, wrestling for months with taking care of their health or whatever, I hope this is kind of what sparks them, because this is clicking with me. I mean, clearly clicking with me. And if it's clicking with me, I have to hope it's going to click with a lot of other guys too. So, man,
Amen.
I really appreciate this, Dalton. I really do. Really do.
Well, I mean, thank you again for allowing me on. I was
Oh
extremely
yeah.
nervous. I told my wife, I was like, man, there's so many places I can go. Just pray for me that, God keeps me on track because I can be
I
a little squirrel. But
Well, we all have our tendencies. Man, things pop in your head. You just gotta like go with it sometimes. But I don't think you were off base at all. You were right on point. And I think if guys want to get a hold of you and talk more about these things, because I could see some guys wanting to,
sure.
where's the best place to do that?
I primarily spend the majority of my time on Instagram. So that's at
Mhm.
coach underscore Dalton, Dalton. I'm sorry, at coach underscore Yeatman, Yeatman underscore. But if you type in Coach Dalton Yeatman, you'll find me somewhere.
Okay.
Or you can go to my website, which is daltonyeatman.co. That's co. And I've got plenty of content in there. Some of my projects, events that I put on. The Men Over Mountain project isn't just a podcast; it's an event that I put on annually. So for 25 weeks, we go through this physical, mental, emotional, spiritual aspects of training, and
It's
at the
awesome.
end of that event, we go to a mountain range somewhere, do like a 25 to 30 mile ruck over a week's time, and we spend
It's
time with
cool.
each other, and God, kind of downloads some
Yeah,
some things that we talk about there, some devotions and stuff. So that's really cool.
that's awesome.
But yeah,
What part of the country are you in?
I live in Mississippi.
Okay, okay. I caught the southern accent there, but I couldn't tell exactly where you were.
You couldn't pin
So
it down. Yeah.
no, uh, we lived in Kentucky for a while, and you pick it up, man, real fast. And
Hmm.
the kind of the southern little, and I have family in Virginia, things like that. But now we're in Illinois, and I lost all of it. So I was like, it's all gone. My 6-year-old still has a little bits of it. It'll come out in her. She's our only Kentucky baby.
I listened back to my some of my videos from 2012, and I
Hmm.
sound like a ghetto redneck, just because. And you don't even know. And I mean, I'm young. I'm like 17 years old, 18, whatever it is, and I'm
That's
listening. I'm like,
awesome.
wow, oh my gosh. And so you put yourself in environments with people that have a little bit more education, and you're like, hey, maybe I am going to pick some of this stuff up. That'd be awesome.
Dude, that's awesome. Ghetto redneck. That's pretty funny. I like that one. I needed that laugh. That was
There
good.
you go.
It's yeah. So for men, they want to reach out, get some coaching, healthier decisions, things like that. I have to tell you too, I respect you for decisions you made with only coaching men. I get we live in a culture now that people just don't understand that. Like
Yeah.
I'm a small rural town pastor. I counsel people all the time. If it's a lady, I have my wife come, and a lot of people they don't get that. And I'm like, it's what we do. We live above reproach. And I have to tell you, I respect that, and I will recommend you even more now because of that, because of
Well, thank you.
that integrity character there that is being shown. And so I appreciate you. I hope we can do this again. There's a lot of things that we could get on that we didn't even touch, and I had some things written down that we didn't even get to. But so
I
we
know the
need to do
feeling.
it again. Yeah, we need to do it
Yeah.
again, and we'll make that happen. But Dalton, I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Yep. So with that, men, I hope you're encouraged by this. Go check out Coach Dalton and go and be a better man this week.
Amen.